Okay, you see a paper that says Florida Coast Women's Ministry? Okay, now, let me just tell you what I did. This is nothing but a skeleton. This is nothing but Sandy throwing ideas onto a paper. But I came up with, well, first of all, Florida Coast Church Purpose Statement. This is in our church manual. So this is our purpose statement. Florida Coast Church is a Christian community of neighbors who gather for meaningful worship, excellent teaching, and warm fellowship. So I feel like any kind of women's ministry's got to fit into our purpose statement, right? I mean, that's what a purpose statement is for, I assume. So we wanted that our women's ministry could fill into this beautiful purpose statement, and I love it. Gathering for meaningful worship, excellent teaching, and warm fellowship. So those would be the elements, I think, in our relationships, right? With women is gathering with them, meaningfully worship, and teach, and have warm fellowship. Okay, then here's my Florida Coast Church Women's Ministry Purpose Statement. And what I want to ask you all to do is work on this. Would you take it and sit down with it and think of things you would like to see added to it, or if it's just totally off the wall? But that, and here's what I was thinking, that every woman have an opportunity to know Christ personally and be discipled and cared for through a spiritual mothering relationship. Okay, that was kind of like, and like I said, if you just look at that and sort of work with that, and if you have any other ideas or thoughts, or if that's just totally off the wall, then kind of come up with some ideas that could help me. And then here's the mission. This is the mission statement for Florida Coast Church. Florida Coast Church exists to make disciples of Jesus Christ in northeastern Broward County and into other parts of the world. This mission is simply the mission that Jesus gave to the church in Matthew 28:19, applied to where we live. Okay, so that's the mission statement of the church. And again, any women's ministry, I feel like, should stay, in those same bounds. So here's the mission statement. And again, I'm just throwing this out there, everybody, okay? This is anything we can work on this. Florida Coast Church Women's Ministry exists to encourage and equip women to grow spiritually, to build a loving community through spiritual mothering relationships, to help women develop their gifts and talents for the use of serving others, and to encourage women to share their faith in their home, community, and throughout the world. Okay, all right, that was my mission statement. Now, here I have some goal areas, and these are, again, I don't know, I mean, this is something, this is new for me too. I mean, developing this kind of relationship, kind of ministry that's more, instead of people coming to us all the time. I want to still have women's, we think we should still have women's Bible study groups. We still have like this once a month thing where we come together. But I also want us to be able to start going out. Do you know what I mean? Going out to them. And then the ultimate of our goal is to be bringing them into our church fellowship, bringing into our church family. And Florida Coast Church will grow because of these one-on-one relationships that we have, because then maybe we'll be bringing in a whole family. They're working with the wife or a teenager, or do you see what I'm saying? So this is, so here are the goal areas. The first one I put discipleship. And this is something I just could not begin to touch on today because, I mean, I already have fire hosed you to death with stuff, but discipleship's another whole realm. And we've got some women that are sitting in here that have great experience with discipling. And so one night of our once a month will be a discipleship night. And we will look at and talk about what does the discipleship, when we get to this point, we would want to get them in the Word of God. What's this relationship look like? And what are tools and all that? So discipleship was one area where I thought, and I feel like we really have to get just really good at that. You know what I mean? And learning how to do it, and learning from people that have done it lots, and can help us. Okay, and so under that one, I put our first goal would be women discipling other women through the spiritual mothering relationship. So developing the spiritual mothering relationship leading into discipling. Okay, and goal 2, I had development of women leadership through spiritual mothering. I think this is super important that we be discipling more women so that I'm not up here next time. One of you are up here. So that we are handing things off all the time to our women, and less and less of me would be great, and more of I'll just be sitting with you guys type of thing. Okay, so that's developing leadership, and I think that should be under discipleship. I think we disciple leaders. Okay, and then area 2 is evangelism, and I will have to say this is in the order that I love things. So, so here you go. Evangelism should probably be first, but my style of discipleship is evangelism. But the second category is evangelism, and under goal 1, I said train our women to share the gospel, and this is, I think, maybe an EE course would help us, something, just a tool that we can have, and those of us that have already taken it, brushed up on it, and we have somebody trained that can help us with this already in our group. So anyway, just something that will just kind of firm up our skills in sharing the gospel so that we can do it conversationally, and also having booklets and other things that work to go through to help people. Okay, and then under evangelism, train women to use the 6 questions. I brought a copy today. This is my tool. Larry wrote this, and there are 6 simple studies that sometimes he always says I'm almost embarrassed that, but they are like amazing. It's like, isn't it? Allison's tried it. It's amazing. It's amazing. Natalia's tried it. It's a tool, and they're just 6 basic questions. What is God like? What is sin? What are the results of sin? Who is Jesus? What did Jesus do? And how may I have eternal life? So by the time I get to lesson 6, 2 things have happened. I've gotten the person to commit to study for 6 weeks. That's a big one. They commit to study with me for 6 weeks. And many of them, and usually I start with the index of the Bible and explain the books of the Bible and what this even looks like. That's where I usually start. And then these do 1 question a week, or if they say, maybe I'd give you 3 weeks. Okay, we can do that. We'll do 2 questions a week. We're still going to get through this, right? So it doesn't matter to me how many, but it's a tool. It's simply a tool. And by the end of this, you're asking the 2 EE questions. And that helps me identify right where they are. Then I know, okay, what next? What would I do next? And sometimes by the end of question 6, I've had people say to me, well, I would have told you that I was a good person and that I was going to get into heaven because I was a good person. But since we studied these 6 questions, I'm not seeing myself that way. And I always think, yes, that's great. Don't see yourself that way. See yourself as lost. And then we can go forward, right? So this is super tool. So, and then third one was to use spiritual mothering relationships as a form of evangelism. So that happens for me through this tool, and might happen for you with just we get to the point where it's just a good talk about Jesus moment, and their hearts are tender, and you lead them to pray to receive Christ, and then you say, now you need to be discipled. Now we got to go forward. And that's the idea, okay? That's evangelism. Under service, the goal would be to, we had the gift bag ministry for the homeless, but Darren and Allison aren't with us. So we need someone who's feeling that burden to continue that ministry. I miss my bags. I'm missing my bags. That was a lot. So thank you. That was an amazing thing that Allison and Darren taught us. They taught me to have a different kind of love for homeless people. And it's something that was in my ballpark. It's something I could do at a stoplight, you know. So we just need to start praying, everybody, that someone will get a heart for that ministry and say, hey, let me, and then we draw on Darren and Allison to tell us how to do it, show us how to do it, and we can keep that going. But we need someone to do it. I'm not doing it. Someone has to do that, okay? Goal 2, out of spiritual mothering relationships, to develop service ministries in the community. This is one that excites me. This is getting more involved, but I think this is something like Heidi, what was with us. She's moved on. Many of y'all remember this. Heidi met a homeless person right there in front of her condominium on the Galt. And she started to get involved in this homeless man's life. And she was relentless. And then she just haunted us, didn't she? She just kept on us to help her and get involved. And she got that man off the streets. He is living in a facility now, healthy and healthier than he's ever been. But she needed to spiritual mother me. She needed to teach me how to do that. She needed to show me a way to do that. And I'm so thankful for what Heidi taught me. And so that's what I'm talking about, is spiritually mothering relationships that lead us into more service, into the community, into different things. And these are born because somebody has a passion for something. And they come and they start talking to us about it. And they start getting us more excited about it. Now, Larry and I, and Natalia might feel, we're eating up with missions, right? So when you come to Florida Coast Church and Larry gives us introduction to another culture and how many people aren't saved and all of that, well, what's he doing? He's planting in us a vision for missions. And some of us might just be called to go. Some of us will be called to give. Some of us will be called to pray. So that's what I mean here, is somebody in our community saying, hey, I really got a burden for whatever. And then bringing us along to see how do we get involved with that? What can we do? Lead us, show us, take us on that journey. Got what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So it's not Florida Coast Church doing it. It's individuals. We're doing it. We're seeing these needs and we're responding to the needs. Okay, then leadership. To groom and grow women leaders through spiritual mothering relationships, that a little bit under the discipling them. But the grooming and growing is identifying women that have leadership abilities and starting to bring them along, work with them, encourage them. Sarah and I are working right now together on the children's ministry. And so this is an incredible blessing for me to learn from Sarah and Sarah from me and have this relationship as we're building this whole new thing for our church. And it's happening because she loves children and is getting trained with children. And so to me, that's who do you go to? Well, an educator. You go to somebody that has a heart for that. So that's the idea with the grooming and growing up of leaders in a church. And then fellowship is to develop fellowship through the spiritual mothering relationship. And under this one, I mean, it's like, wouldn't it be cool if we are discipling somebody and we say, hey, let's have a pool party. And 8 or 9 of us bring our little disciple with us. We have a pool party. You know what I mean? Yeah, yeah, something like that, so that we begin to build fellowship networks through these discipleship relationships. And as these disciples come into Florida Coast Church, the families come into Florida Coast Church, we begin to have more need for fellowship, right? And then we've got the community group they can get involved in. We have the prayer group they can get involved in, women's Bible study. And then we have, see what I'm saying? Like we grow and the fellowship grows as these relationships get connected. Okay, so now I give you this paper to take with you and to give it some thought. And then one of those Monday nights, we will talk about, it'll be like a vision night and just talk about some of these ideas. How could this look